Very good morning to you all. So today's topic we are going to select is first order differential circuit. First order differential circuit. Shell circuit. It would be today's topic. Before moving to this first order differential circuit, with respect to the electrical engineering, we have to see how this first order differential circuit is needed to be studied. Usually, we have passive elements and active sources connected in any electrical network. Passive elements are those elements which don't have the capacity to dissipate energy on its own, like your resistance, your inductance, your capacitance. And the active elements are those elements, active elements like your battery is an active element. It has a power source connected to it. Now before going to understanding the first order differential equation and with respect to the electrical engineering scenario, तो हम समझना चाहते हैं इसके बारे में. तो how do we go about it? Basically what is seen is that if we take a resistive network and we apply KVL KCL equations in a resistive network, we arrive at algebraic equations. But when we are applying KVL KCL to a network that is comprising of resistance, capacitance, that is R and C, or resistance and inductance, this is R and L, at that particular time when we are applying KVL equation or KCL equation, we don't get an algebraic equation. In these networks we don't get an algebraic equation. Why? What is the reason? Why don't we get an algebraic equation? Why? So the reason why don't we get an algebraic equation is simple as that. See, for example, a resistance, you can take your bulb, your any bulb, LED bulb, or your that fluorescent bulb, or the bulb with the filament, you can take that bulb. That is actually resistance. So in a resistive network, what is that? The voltage, if this is my voltage, the direction of the voltage and my current are in phase, so there is no phasor difference. So your voltage, if by black I represent my voltage and with red I represent my current, they are in phase. But in case of an R and C network, in R and C network, for example, this is your voltage. For a C network, your current is leading the voltage by 90 degree. That is for a purely C network. For a purely capacitive network. Okay. Similarly, if you have your inductance and this is my voltage, your current is lagging it by 90 degrees. So your current is lagging by 90 degrees. So this is the, in red we are showing current is lagging it by 90 degrees. Now how do we arrive at these, and why these R and C or R L circuit? If any circuit is having one element with resistance, either it can be a capacitive element or an inductive element, it is called a first order network. Now suppose it is having two capacitors and one resistor, then in that case it becomes a second order network. So what is this order and how it is governed? See, when we are converting these equations from time domain to your frequency domain, you get an element of S involved, which we will be studying in the future chapters. Since this is the preliminary chapter, so I'll restrict my discussion with what is the capacitance, what is the inductance, and how we will arrive at the equation for a capacitor. So what is there, in addition to there being two types of first order circuit, there RC and RL, there are two ways to excite these circuits also. So with resistance, capacitance, here you can see these are the passive elements. Your resistance, inductance and capacitance is your passive element, but your L and C has one more property. It can store energy. It can store energy. So once it can store energy, that means this L and C has got some memory, so whenever you are seeing that you are switching off your television, although you are switching off instantly, your television goes, but there is one small what do you say, red color LED light next to that TV screen on the bottom of it. It takes some time to switch off because it is storing some energy, and that is the capacitive element. So they have certain amount of initial charge stored. So these elements are associated with the initial conditions also. So they can, inductance and capacitance, they can store the charge, and these are called as, they can, are called as memory elements. So if you have one memory element and one resistor, then it is a first order circuit. If you have two elements, for example, if you have R L and R C and L, R C and L series circuit like this is not a first order circuit, this is a second order circuit. Or if you have R L and L, so if you have two elements, this is a second order circuit. For this the discussion would be different. Now before studying, now let's study about the properties. What is a capacitor, what is an inductor, and finally we will derive one equation for the charging and discharging of the capacitor. We will see how it works, and we will derive one particular algebraic equation. So before moving to that, I'll rub this. Let's study what is a capacitor. See, capacitor primarily is defined if you have two parallel plates. One parallel plate is holding some positive charge and another parallel plate is holding a negative charge. So, and this is your a source voltage which you have connected. This is Q plus, this is Q minus. A capacitor consists of two conducting plates. So you can say a capacitor consists of two conducting plates separated by an insulator. Two conducting plates separated by an insulator, or a dielectric, whatever you can say, insulator or a dielectric. See, capacitance is the ratio of charge on one plate. What is capacitance? You can say capacitance is what it is, the ratio of the charge on one plate of a capacitor to the voltage difference between two plates, voltage difference between the two plates. So essentially, if you have to see, a capacitor was this phenomena of capacitor, or the was discovered by Michael Faraday, who was an English chemist and a physicist, and was born in 1791, expired in 1867. He was working with the Royal Institution, where he worked for 54 years under the guidance of the great chemist Sir Humphrey Davy. And you know how he was identified? This guy was used to go to grasslands with some animal, wherein he just saw the this lab of Mr. Humphrey Dumphrey, and then he was taken up by him as an assistant, because he thought Mr. Michael Faraday was very keen to it, and that was the discovery of Humphrey Dumphrey. And he has said, Mr. Humphrey Davy has said, my greatest discovery till date is this Michael Faraday. So Michael Faraday has revolutionized the world. His discovery of electromagnetic induction was in 1831, which has revolutionized the engineering. Your electrical motor, your generator, everything operates on this particular principle. So you can see that essentially, if you see, we'll get back to the point. The capacitor is stored is set to store the electrical charge. The amount of charge stored by it is represented by Q, and we can see from this definition your Q is directly proportional to your V. So Q is equal to CV, where C is the constant of proportionality, also known as the capacitance of the capacitor, and the unit of capacitor is farad, in the honor of course, the English physicist Michael Faraday. So capacitance, I have already defined, is the ratio of the charge on one plate of capacitor to the voltage difference between the two plates measured in farads. So this can be the definition of the capacitance, and Q is equal to CV. So you can see Q is equal to CV. So wherein this C depends upon EA by D. What is this EA? See, we can see that the capacitance depends upon the surface area of each plate. So A is the surface area of each plate, so that means the area of each plate is A, and there is some distance between the plates, this is D. So the spacing between the plates is D. So we can see that if we increase the area of the plates, so it is in the numerical, if this is increased, capacitance will increase. Now if D is increased, capacitance will decrease. So how do we can write something from this particular equation. We can write the surface area of plates. If A is increased, this is the simple, capacitance increases. If D is increased, capacitance decreases. And higher the permittivity, if E is increased, capacitance again increases. So these are the conclusions drawn from this. So this was about capacitance. Now you know elementary what is your current. So Q is equal to CV. So your current you can represent as the rate of change of charge. So current is represented, I is represented as, how it is represented, I is equal to dq by dt. So your I is dq by dt. So you can write I is equal to d by dt of CV. So of course your C is your capacitance, it cannot change. So I is equal to C d by dt of V. So this is an expression which can be written. I'll be rubbing this and we'll be moving. So you can write I is equal to C dV by dt. Of course we have seen from the previous equation. Now you can also write voltage is equal to 1 by C integral, that is minus infinite to t I dt. From the same equation we have kept here and we have integrated inverse of this. So this equation I am arrived at. So in other words, if I have to give some value, I can write 1 by C and in the interval t naught to t, that is I dt plus Vt naught. What is this Vt naught? See, in capacitance this constant is called the initial charge stored. So now you know the formula for power. Formula for power is P is equal to V into I. Okay, so you know that I from equation 1, if we will write this equation 1, this equation 2, this equation 3. So now from equation 1 we can substitute in equation 4, equation 1 substitute in equation 4. So we get V, and instead of V we will write, and instead of I we are writing C dV by dt, C dV by dt. So this becomes CV dV by dt. So dV by dt is like that. Now this is our power. Now for example, what is our energy? Now if we want to calculate the energy stored in the capacitor, energy, this W symbol is energy stored in capacitor, how it will be looking. Energy stored in the capacitor, it would be like minus infinity t power, because what is energy? Work done by time taken, or power by time. So energy is basically power into time. So this is the energy, because kilowatt hour is the commercial unit of energy, so E is equal to P times, see here also kilowatt is P, this is time, so P times T, we have to write P times T, or for a small interval, because this dt we are writing because we are integrating over time. So this can be written as P value we got over here, that value we can substitute C integral minus infinity T V dV by dt. This value only I have taken, this value only I have substituted here. C is a constant of proportionality, so it will automatically come, because it's not a time varying thing. Capacitance, we know that it would be constant, it depends upon E naught A by D. So area is predefined, distance between them is predefined, so this is a constant term, so it will come out. And voltage we can vary. So now this dV by dt, if we will integrate over the interval, so this dV by dt if we integrate, so we will get minus infinity t v dv, so this will become half cv square over the interval t is equal to minus infinity t, or in other terms w is equal to half cv square. So this is the definition for the capacitor. Now see, there are certain equations in the capacitor. Note from this equation 1 what we can conclude. From this equation 1 which I have written here, we can see that when the voltage across a capacitor is not changing, so this dV by dt is not changing, this is rate of time, it is constant, it is not changing. At that time what happens? The current through the capacitor is 0. The current through the capacitor is 0. If this is not changing with respect to time, so what is that? dV by dt is 0, it is not changing. So this dV by dt is 0, so current becomes 0. So if current becomes 0, we can say that a capacitor is an open circuit to DC. A capacitor, from this equation 1 we can say that a capacitor acts as an open circuit to DC, open circuit to DC. Now if we have to bypass a DC source or a DC current, we can use a capacitor. But see, one more thing is that, however, if a battery DC voltage is connected, see, however, if we connect a voltage across it, a DC voltage, a battery, this is for source free capacitor, then the voltage what happens is that the capacitor starts to charge, and the voltage on the capacitor must always be continuous. The voltage, the inherent, what is the property of capacitance? You can say that the property of capacitance is that the voltage of a capacitor cannot change abruptly. Similarly, for an inductor, you can say the current on an inductor cannot change abruptly. The capacitor resists an abrupt change in voltage across it. Okay, so but one thing is there, see, for example, the voltage across a capacitor may take different forms. See, it can take the form of a triangular this thing, you can give a square wave form, so different types of forms you can give. So now let's get into the discussion again, and let's define a little bit about inductance, and we will understand the concept of inductance, then we will move to the what do we say, first order circuits, our main topic. So I'll be rubbing this. Now in case of inductance, how do we go about it? Inductance is basically when you say what is an inductor. So it is again a passive element, it is designed to store energy in magnetic field, whereas the electrical stores energy in electric field. So inductor stores in magnetic field and capacitor stores in electric field. So you can say that an inductor consists of a coil of a conducting wire. An inductor consists of a coil of conducting wire. So you can safely say that you have this wire or a strip, you just provide different number of turns, so you get some length over which it is you have wound. You get the cross sectional area. This is the cross sectional area, this area of the cylinder, cross sectional area. You get this, these are the number of turns you have put, number of turns, and this is the core material which you have used, core material. So inductance can be defined as n square. N is the number of turns, mu naught is the permittivity of the core material, area is the cross sectional area divided by the length. So this is actually what inductance. Just in capacitance we have shown you E naught A by D. So this is my inductance over here. So if we have to define an inductor, inductor is simply any conductor you take and give it different number of turns. Okay, obviously a conductor will have some cross sectional area, and you just just give some turns to it. So you can see the tube lights which nowadays are coming, they are coming with different turns, 3, 4, 5, and are giving more illuminance. The reason for this is the inductance increases as the number of turns increase. You see that number of turns are directly proportional, inductance is directly proportional to the square of the number of turns. So if you have to increase the inductance, you have to increase the number of turns. Hence nowadays in the market also you will see different type of your LED or your fluorescent lamps were there, which have different more number of turns also. So inductance is a property whereby an inductor exhibits opposition to the charge of current flowing through it, and this is measured in Henry. And Joseph Henry was an American physicist, and he discovered inductance and constructed an electrical motor. He was born in New York, and it was a very famous thing, and he has published many papers also. The unit of inductance is given in honor of him only. So inductance is the property whereby an inductor opposes, we'll write down, opposes to the change of inductance. Inductance is a property where an inductor opposes to the change in current flowing through it. Obviously the in 12th physics also you are very much familiar with this expression. This your inductance is equal to L di by dt. So in other terms you can write di is equal to 1 by L v dt, or you can write I is equal to 1 by L integral minus infinity t vt dt, and one more thing is I is equal to 1 by L t naught t vt dt plus I t naught. This is the initial amount of charge. So in inductance stores energy in magnetic field, and the constant term which you are governing with inductance is current, whereas in capacitor you will be taking voltage. So again your power in this case P is equal to V into I. So I'll be rubbing this. So from these equations, if you see, this is my equation 1, equation 2. So from equation 1, if we see that for power we can write P is equal to V into I. So we know that it is L di by dt into I. So we can safely write my power is this, and my energy is power times T. So minus infinity T P times dt. So I get the value as minus infinity t L di by dt into I dt. So I arrive at this expression L minus infinity t I dt is equal to, this is half Li square t minus half Li square minus infinity. Now suppose this infinity term is there, this is the charge that is stored in this. So in capacitor also we had to take that minus infinity, so you can incorporate that term also. In other terms, your omega is equal to half Li square. So certain important points what we can see is that, see the equation, from the equation 1, the voltage across an inductor is 0 when the current is constant. If this is constant, this is not varying, di by dt is not varying, it's constant, so this becomes L into 0 is 0. So we can safely say that according to the equation, what we can say is that, and we can say that we can say that the inductance opposes an abrupt change in current through it. So in we moving to the other part of this discussion is that inductor, the main thing what I have to make you understand is that, if you look at this equation, V is equal to L di by dt, the equation V is equal, what inference you can make? See, we can say that the voltage across an inductor is 0 when the current is constant. So thus we can say that inductor acts like a short circuit to DC. It is acting like a short circuit to DC, whereas capacitor, what we saw, it was acting like an open circuit to DC. So in practically there are different concepts and different things are applicable, which we will be moving in the next session. So let's come back to our first order differential equation, and let's now we have learned about how we are going to the property of inductor, the property of capacitor. Now let's go back to the discussion and let's understand the concept of the first order in the first order circuits. So as we have as I have already told you regarding the first order circuits, so any element like L and C, if it is stored, then it happens to be a first order circuit. Now in first order circuit, there can be two types of circuit. One circuit is you are connecting externally a battery, or another type of circuit is the source free circuit. Source means we will take the capacitor, we have connected the capacitor to some source, and it is a charged capacitor, and that charged capacitor we are connecting across a resistance. Okay, so this charge, it's a charged capacitor, it was connected with some battery, we removed that, we have not discharged it properly, and we are connecting it across a resistor. So in this circuit which I am drawing over here, you can clearly see there is no source over here. And already I have told you, when you are writing a KVL equation with respect to your RC circuit or first order circuit, it happens to be the first order differential equation. It will not come as an algebraic equation. So a source free circuit is occurs when a source free circuit, which I have drawn here, this is a source free circuit, source free RC circuit. So this a source free RC circuit happens when a DC source is suddenly disconnected. Suddenly disconnected means what? See, means there was some battery over here, okay, and it was charging this circuit, and what, after 5, 10, 15 minutes we have suddenly disconnected this battery, we have suddenly removed this battery. Now the capacitor is charged to some extent, but suddenly we have removed. Now we have taken a series combination of a resistor and an initially charged capacitor. So this is a series combination of a resistor and an initially charged capacitor. The resistor and capacitor may be the equivalent resistance and equivalent capacitance of combination of resistors and capacitors. That means it can be either a single capacitor, or I can connect many capacitors in parallel to it, and I can combine it as a single capacitor. So our objective is to determine the circuit response, which, like for example, uh, so how do we go about it? So how do we go about it? Let's assume the voltage Vt across the capacitor. So since the capacitor is initially charged, we can assume that at time t is equal to 0, see, we can say that, let's assume a voltage across Vt across capacitor, Vt across capacitor, we can say at t is equal to 0, because V naught was equal to, your initial voltage was equal to V naught. Now your energy, you can write W naught is equal to half CV naught square. Now you can apply KCL you can apply. When you are applying KCL at the top node means here, what you can write? You can write that of the circuit, it will yield the algebraic sum of currents IC plus IR is equal to 0. You can write IC plus IR is equal to 0. So this is a parallel circuit, so voltage will remain same here, isn't it? So you can write IR in terms of V by R. You can write, instead of IR, you can write V by R. And IC, you can write C dV by dt. You can write C dV by dt. For IC, you can write C dV by dt. I have showed you also IC is equal to C dV by dt. We have derived that. That was an important, that's why we had done this. So we can write C dV by dt plus V by R is equal to 0. So now we can write, we can divide by C, divide by C, this equation will divide and divide by C. So once we are dividing it by C, so the whole equation, let's divide it by C. So we are having dV by dt plus V by RC is equal to 0. Okay, now we can write, this is equation 2. Now we can write dV by dt is equal to minus V by RC. This is RC, this is equation 3. Also we can write dV by V is equal to minus dt by RC. This is my equation 4. We can write this dV by V is equal to minus dt by RC. So I'll be, hope you have taken it down. So let's go. So I have my dV by V is equal to minus 1 by RC dt. Now I can take integrating on both sides.